Is that me?
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I probably wish I would have known that that you stay pretty busy and the hours stay pretty long. I think when I first started work, I thought that all I had to do was gut it out for a couple of years, and that I'd work long hours, maybe as a first year and a second year, and then at some point it would be 9 to 6. And it does get better, and I think just now, probably within the last year, and I'm a fourth year now, and just within the last year, I've had a lot of stuff that I'm really handling completely on my own, where I kind of set the schedule and I set when documents are going to be turned and court dates and things like that. But even as long as you practice, I think that there's still going to be some demands on your time that you're not going to be able to control because it's still client service, and ultimately those guys are the ones that call the shots. So that's not to say that it's not rewarding. It's not to say that it doesn't get better and better. But every now and then I will be leaving the office late and still see 2 or 3 partners up there trying to close a deal. So not to discourage anybody, but I think that's definitely something that I wish somebody would have sat down and told me beforehand.
James?
Yeah, I think that's what I'd echo. And part of it isn't just that you're working hard and long hours. Everybody that goes to law school knows what it's like to work hard and long hours. It's the loss of control over your own schedule. You'll end up canceling vacations and plans. Especially transactional lawyers are notorious for flaking out on dinner. It just happens. And that can be a tough thing because you really are. Imagine that you may have a law school exam tomorrow, but you don't know yet. And it happens every day. That's kind of where you end up being on that. And the other thing that I wish I'd known, and I don't know if there's a way for law schools to teach this, but in law school you generally take courses that are designed to teach you the broad context of a legal area, securities law or mass tort litigation, big subject matter, and you get kind of public policy perspectives. What you do in practice, especially at the beginning, is very, very narrow and granular. It's very, very detail-oriented. There's no such thing as reviewing an asset purchase agreement for the big idea. It's sentence by sentence, word by word, and your value, especially as an associate, is related to your ability to get to that level of detail so that as you go up to the top, people don't have to be concerned. And nothing's going to upset a partner more than getting a whole bunch of documents full of spelling, grammar errors, and formatting issues because it's time they have to spend. And I'm saying that because I'm really, really, really bad about it. So there's a learning curve, but that's one thing that I'd focus on is when you're doing projects at school, if you can force yourself to go over what you do just one more time and be really careful to have every little thing perfect as well as every big idea perfect, that's what you're going to be called on to do in practice.
Josh?
The thing that I've found is 2 things. One is organization. I did not realize that a big part of being successful early on, which I'm still very much there, is just knowing how to use a calendar and a to-do list and knowing what matters you're staffed on and what projects are due when. Like at any given point, you can have 3 to 10 different sort of matters that you're working on, and each of them has 1 or 2 or 3 deadlines. And so having a system to just keep all that somewhere beside your head is really important. Or at least for me, I would drop things. And then the second thing that sort of I think I'm finding, and that a lot of people sort of above me and around me are telling me, is that your reputation, especially early, is very important. So trying to look like you are eager to learn and want to be there and are flexible and helpful and cheerful and generally positive. That's all they really expect from you early on. But it's if you can get that reputation early, it's helpful, I think. And if you don't, I'm told it can be a real disadvantage. And that's something you just got to work on, and at least I have to work on like every day.
What do you think was your most valuable class that you took in law school for your practice today?
Mine was hands down, without a doubt, secure transactions. That was you know, obviously you have to do all the classes to kind of, to get the background, but I'm saying secure transaction is the only one, like, on a day-to-day basis that I go and look and, you know, read something out of Article 9 or, you know, do some form of research. I mean, it's the only class that I've got the book and my notes from the class, like, in my office at all points. So, I mean, believe it or not, like, it helps to keep them around because there will be stuff. Plus, Larry Ahern, I don't know if he still teaches it here, actually is in the bankruptcy bar in Nashville, so I have to go up against him every now and then, and it's always kind of nice to have what he's thinking, because he was pretty good about giving some of his inside tricks. So.
James?
I took secured transactions. I use that a lot too. But I'd say, does Herwig Schlunk still teach his corporate tax class? I think that conceptually for transactions, I use that on a day-to-day basis more than anything else. And it was the hardest class I've ever taken in my life, and it was the hardest exam I've ever had. Is anybody here taking it? Yeah, no. That's 24, is it still a 24-hour take-home exam?
No, it's only 3 hours.
Okay. Oh, this exam was torture. 24-hour take-home exam. Pick it up at 8 in the morning. Go home and start working. And I realized at dinner time when I hadn't finished the first question that I had to triage. And in 24 hours, I think I was working nonstop for 21 hours. And at the end, I actually, one of the answers I gave for the last question was that one of the parties had paid the other party for sex, and illegal income is taxed as ordinary income, so the whole transaction is taxed by that. And I think he appreciated it because I got a good grade. But I mean, that was the level of exhaustion that you got to. It was terribly difficult, but like I said, I really, not my answer to the test, but the other stuff from the class, I really do use on a daily basis as far as, you know, tax-exempt transactions, structuring transactions, relationship between entities, things like that.
Josh?
Hands down, the most valuable was the drafting business documents seminar. Not only is it a good way to get 6 credits, but I think it's one of the only classes I took in the law school that was practical and something I do all the time. Could not recommend that more highly. There was also a mergers and acquisitions class that was jointly taught with the business school. That was a great class, 1 for the material and 2 for the opportunity to interact with some business people and sort of learn how they think. Speaking of business school, accounting, I use that all the time. That's probably the one textbook I open a lot is accounting. Yeah, we'll go with those 3.
You asked
Josh
for
will
one.
stay